Top of the morning to both of you. Eric Criner, National Director for VREB Network. And we have our very own Christopher Lockridge here from
Happy to be here.
iFinance Mortgage. So welcome. Nice to have you both here.
Happy to be here.
All right, great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, Eric. And you know what? We've been excited about our partnership. We've been with you for a couple months now, and we really enjoyed the training that you did for all of our loan officers. And we can see the passion that you and your whole team have to help veterans, especially help them get, help them see the American dream of home ownership. And we're going to dive into that just a little bit, but to get to know you a little bit better, maybe
Nice.
tell us a little bit about your background. How and when did you get into the real estate business? And maybe share a little bit about your local Florida market there.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'll try to keep the long story short. When you get old like me, you got a long story. So, no, it started out. No, I retired out of the Army in '05, and so while I was in the Army, I was a young captain in Virginia, and I was like, you know what, I need to make more money than a captain does. I don't know. There was just something where I wanted the nicer car, I wanted the house in the right area, all that kind of stuff. And so I started selling houses on the side. Got in trouble a few times. Got called into the Commander General's office for moonlighting, but I survived it. But I picked up that bug. I picked up that passion, and I carried it with me for the rest of the time in the Army. A few times I had an opportunity to sell, not often. And then as soon as I retired out of the Army, in '05, it was just a natural fit, So I jumped right back into it. I was in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I was full of piss and vinegar from just coming out of the Army. I was retired colonel.
I bet you were.
I love it.
I remember my broker telling me, you need to just calm it down a little bit. This isn't the Army anymore. So
Yes, sir.
yeah, it was a little much. So that kind of started the passion. Went through divorce, city got really small, and I wound up moving to Tampa, Florida. That was kind of home to special ops, and that's kind of where I'd been in and out of, and that felt like home. So I moved here, jumped right back into the market, and just kept the foot on the accelerator since then. Around 2010, 2011, I went to USAA and said, hey, I'm a retired colonel, and I want to join your program, and I want to help veterans. I want to give back to them, thank them. And they said, well, you're in REMAX, so you're not allowed to be part of our program. You have to be part of Century 21 or this and that.
Oh.
So I got mad, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna start my own program. So careful what you wish for, because that was 13 years ago, and I got laughed at. I got told I was crazy, told it was never work, on and on and on. 13 years later, it's worked pretty damn well. So that's kind of how it began. But I wanted to give back to veterans. I wanted to make sure they had a great real estate experience. They're connected with a great lender like yourself. But on top of that, I wanted to work and thank them for what they've done for our nation. And so that's kind of been our guiding principle throughout.
I love it. I love it. I appreciate that, Eric, and I appreciate all the stuff that you've went through is really going to help, obviously, buyers specifically in the military. Now, your company being a VREB, what is VREB, and really how do you support veterans in helping them to be able to get to this dream that you just mentioned?
Yeah. So the Veterans Real Estate Benefits Program and Agent Network, which is a mouthful, that's the long name.
Say that 10 times fast.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I don't think I can. But our guiding principles have really been to educate the veteran on home buying or selling, connect them with the top agent, connect them with a good lender, and then thank them for what they've done for our nation. So it's kind of been our guiding principles throughout, and we call them our pillars. And so that's really what we're about, is we want to make sure that the real estate experience is good, because we all know that about 10% of the agents do 90% of the work.
Right.
So I want to make sure they're connecting with somebody who's going to take good care of them and understands VA loans. And then I want a lender who's going to take care of them, because you guys play a significant role
Yeah.
and you're the one that brings the money to the table. And so, just like agents, there's a good, bad, and the ugly. So, we try to make sure that we're getting them with guys like you so that we actually close them. They're getting a good rate. The fees aren't exorbitant, all that kind of stuff. And then, that rewards check after closing, we're actually a membership benefits program. So we're not a rebate, we're a membership benefits program. Allows us to work in all 50 states. And so they actually get a rewards check after closing, which they can also apply towards their closing costs if they want to, but the vast majority get a check after closing.
Yeah.
So
That's
that's really what we're about.
I love it.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I like what you said is that you're not limited by state licensing.
Mhm.
You are an organization that is nationwide, every
Right.
city, every state. And, a question that comes up sometimes is from a seller credit perspective.
Right.
Is, a lot of our agents will go after seller concessions to help buy down the rate and their closing costs and all of that.
Right.
Well, how does VREB benefits work? Does that have to go on the HUD? Is any
Yeah.
of those benefits listed on the settlement statement at the end, or
That's
how
a
does
good
that
question.
work?
That's a good question.
Well, yeah, because we're a membership benefits program, the veteran joins us for a free. And then what they're getting from us is based on them being part of the program, being a member. It's kind of like Costco. If you have Costco out on the West Coast, the
Mhm.
more you spend, the more you make.
Absolutely.
So none of that's required to be on the altar or disclosed to the lender, because it's outside of closing. And so it's them being part of a buying program, essentially, or selling program, where they're getting a rewards check by being a member. Now, the only time that changes is if they want to convert that membership reward into a closing cost credit. So let's say that they earn $3,000. It's a $400,000 house. They're getting $3,000 back after closing. They can come to you as a lender and say, "Hey, I want to use that $3,000." At that point, that does go on the Alta. There are some agreements we sign with the agent, but that 3,000 becomes a buyer credit at closing, reducing their cash to close. So that's a powerful tool when you take $3,000 off the closing cost for a veteran. That's a big difference.
So for this free, being able to be in this program, does someone just go online, sign up with VREB, and then just have full access to the membership? It gives them the benefit package, let them know kind of what they're going to be able to expect.
Yeah, it's pretty much that simple. I mean, there's a membership agreement they sign, but it just discloses all the rules and how everything works, takes care of all the legalities. But we don't charge them to join, and so they join and they're a member. And then if they need an agent, we'll take care of that. If they need a lender, we'll take care of that. And then on top of that, we provide an extra layer of management. So they might be working with John the agent, or Chris the agent, or Tom the agent, but we're checking in with them, and then if there's a problem, then we will get involved fixing that problem. So
Wow.
probably 25% of my day is calling agents and helping them figure out their problem.
Well, that's a
it
big
just comes
service to
with
be
the
able to
job.
help the veterans. We really appreciate all the work y'all do, man.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference in their life. The closing rates are higher, and the veterans getting that house they wanted, and they got some top cover. So, we've got some top cover over the transaction just to make sure everything's right. So
Thank you for helping these wonderful individuals be able to get that dream. Really appreciate that.
Yeah,
thanks.
absolutely. And it's in anything that we do in life, I liken it to just about anything, and Christopher and I'll tell you, everything's a competition, but in
Right.
a friendly way, in
Mhm.
a helpful way. And I always think about what it takes to be a champion
Mhm.
in our field, a champion in helping veterans, a champion in helping them get the right home with the right financing. And
Right.
part of the theme of this of our podcast series is the mindset of a champion. What
Right.
sets you apart, us apart?
Yeah.
And with thousands and thousands of realtors and thousands of lenders to choose from, really, what is it that helps us be a champion in the mind of those that would hire our services. And so that question we would like to pose to you is, Eric, what does having the mindset of a champion mean to you? And how does that impact your daily routine?
Yeah, yeah. So that's a great question, and the mindset of a champion for me started while I was in the military. So I think there's two key ingredients. First, you have to be passionate about what you do. You have to believe in what you do. You have to believe that you are the very best at what you do. And secondly, you can't accept defeat. I mean, defeat is not in the vocabulary. So I think the mindset of a champion is everyone's going to get roadblocks, everyone's going to get hurdles, everyone's going to get challenges, but you work through them. They don't stop you; they only slow you down.
Love it.
So defeat is not an answer, and so that's what makes us, I think, stand out from some of the other programs that are like us. Is that if a veteran's having a problem, we're going to get it fixed. There's no problem that can't be fixed if all the players are above board.
Mhm.
And so I think it comes down to passion and just not accepting defeat. I mean, that's just not in the vocabulary.
I love that.
Yeah, that's so true. And when you look at athletes, I think of different champions. We all have our favorites. One of my favorites has always been Michael Jordan, Kobe
Mhm.
Oh
Bryant
yeah,
from the basketball world. They just simply outworked everyone.
yeah,
Their
yeah.
mindset was tougher than everyone else's.
Mhm.
They showed up when people were still sleeping,
Yep.
and they're shooting
Yep.
hoops, shooting hoops, shooting hoops. And, I really feel that that's what the three of us have, including our teams that support us to do good things, is we wake up very intentional every day. We
Right.
wake up knowing what our why is and what it takes to win for our family of clients. And,
Right.
I think that's part of the differentiator of what sets us apart.
Mhm.
And it starts right here. It
Yeah.
starts with our support system that we have. But really, really appreciate you mentioning your thoughts on that, because that's
Yeah.
important.
It's very important. And
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
go ahead, Eric.
Oh no, I was going to say, a lot of that was forged. I mean, I've got 4 combat tours, and so, when you're in those environments over and over and over, you develop that champion mindset. Because that's what gets you through. But most importantly, that's what gets your soldier through as well, because they're counting on you. As a young colonel, they're counting on the decisions that you make every single day. If you make the wrong decision, soldiers are going to die.
Yep.
So you've got to go in there, focus, like you said, you've got to work harder than anybody else, and you got to be passionate, and you just can't accept defeat as an option.
And and I think that really lends to just being able to kind of deal with the current financial market and everything that's
Mhm.
currently happening. If I calculated correctly, you said you came out of the military 2005. You were doing real estate before that. You've seen a lot of changes even to this point. With all the changements, what pivot or adjustments did you have to make to be able to stay successful in this time? Obviously, with that transition of just not being defeated, how are you
Right.
able to continue to fight on even within the situations happening now?
Yeah. I've probably been through 3 or 4 market changes. I think they're good for real estate. It cleans the herd out a little bit.
Hmm.
So I think ultimately it's good. Um, I believe that in a down market, that's your best time to grow.
I agree.
Absolutely.
And so people that look at a down market as, oh my God, woe is me. I look at it as I'm going to double my pressure on the market. I'm going to double my marketing. I'm going to try to seize as much market share as I can during this time, because when it goes back to a great market, everybody can be successful. But the champions are determined by who does well in the down markets.
Yeah.
And so those that aren't at that level or don't have the work ethic or all the things we talked about during the down market, they get cleaned out of the herd. And it's good for the public, because when things change, typically as you're going back into a great market, the people that are left are the champions. They're the ones that can work through this stuff, had the work ethic, kick butt, do all the things, but also believe seize market share when the markets are slow.
I agree. And you know, that is a big part of the champion. I feel like the best champions are faced with their back against the wall. There's nothing else left, and then all of a sudden, it's like the last inning, and everything's coming down, and all of a sudden, the team's already assured of their win, and I
Yeah,
feel like they were too confident within that win.
right.
All of a sudden, the other team is taking that's a champion. You know,
Yeah.
and that's exactly. I appreciate your expression on that one because it really does show that no defeat is going to be able to take us away from
No,
and helping
no.
clients to be able to get to the next point. Awesome point here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
good for-
I mean, I know that most people can do well during a great market. You
Mm.
know, if you turn on your computer, you have a heartbeat, you can use your mouse and your phone works, you're probably going to do okay.
That's true.
But really we're judged by when our back's against the wall. And that's when the true champion comes out. It's not when things are great, because then everyone's a champion, you know. So
Yeah, if it was easy, everybody would do it, right?
Mhm.
exactly.
Think about it. There's not too much involved in getting a license. I mean,
Right.
you can pass a state test, you're in.
Yeah.
But I really appreciate what you said is during the tough times, that's when the tough get going and others
Oh,
leave
yeah.
the business. And it
Every
actually
time.
is good
Yeah.
for America when that happens because those that are actually doing the work are there. They're there for
Exactly.
the long haul like us. We're in it
Exactly.
to win it for our clients and for our families. And you know, it's a good thing because
Yeah.
we do all this marketing. Like you said, we double
Mhm.
down, triple
Yeah.
down. You know,
Yeah.
we're ramping it up when people are sleeping on the holidays. People are other loan officers right now that I've talked to that are some of my friends with other companies, they're in holiday mode. They've shut down their mind, they've shut down
Yeah.
their book of business, and they're ready for January. Well, I'm glad that they're doing that
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
because
Oh yeah.
we're ramping up and we're getting the business now so that our pipelines are filled come January 1st. You know,
Exactly.
so that's that. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for mentioning, you know, how you view the mindset of a champion and really how it motivates you every day to do what you do for your community and your families.
Love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Last question for you, Eric.
Okay.
Out of respect for your time, we know you're a busy man, and we truly appreciate you spending some time with us this morning. Um, you know, a lot of kind of dovetailing what we just spoke about. A lot of folks are, whether they're realtors, lenders, small business owners, um, they're trying to figure out how to stay successful
Right.
wrapping up the last month or so of 25, but more importantly, as we move into 26, a lot of uncertainty with government and you know policies and procedures and how it's going to affect the market and all this stuff. But the bottom line is, what advice would you have for others to be
Yeah.
successful as we launch into 2026 and beyond?
Yeah. I think it comes down to a mindset where you just cannot rest on your laurels, and you can't accept, you know, defeat. So when the market's down, you got to figure out what's your new niche. You know, um, back in '08, I'd only been out of the Army 3 years. The market crashed, and so I started calling myself the short sell doctor.
Oh, I love it.
And all of a sudden, I was inundated with people that needed to do short sales. I made more money in '08 to 2010 than and I did when the market was great.
Wow.
So this coming up market, there's a lot of changes, but there's a lot of people need to sell houses.
Yep.
Foreclosures are up in multiple states.
Yep.
So there's a lot of opportunity. And if you just sit and wait for the birdie to drop a worm in your nest, it's going to be a long wait. You got to get out there. You got to get aggressive. And there's a lot of things that agents can do that don't cost a lot of money. You know, they can attend events. They can do more work on Facebook. You know, they can actually reach out and talk to their clients. You know, call them once in a while, send them some notes. There's just an awful lot they can do, but it takes that perseverance. It takes that work ethic every day to drill at it. knowing that one day you're going to get success, but you might not get it today. And you've got to accept the no's. I mean, the no's are just stepping stones, you know? And so they have to go into that mentality, but you know, and unfortunately, a lot of them don't have that work ethic, and they just get a little bit lazy, and they want somebody like our program, or they want somebody like their broker just to drop worms in their nest, and then they'll go out and work them. Yeah, it's like it's a lot more than that. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well
that's
said.
so true. And you know, you mentioned social media, Eric. And I think there's you know two sides of the thinking here. Social media, you know, there's some that spend all their time on it.
yeah,
That's all they do. And then
Mhm.
after they do that, they expect to sit back, like you said, and wait for that little worm to come in and be
Yeah,
fed. And then there's others that don't do any of it,
right.
and they're out there, you know, trying to get business. So, you know, you mentioned Facebook, and
Mhm.
I had, depending on what generation you're from, I had a young person tell me the other day, Facebook, nobody uses Facebook anymore.
Yeah,
Everybody's on IG and, you know, whatever,
yeah.
not,
Reddit,
X and
yeah,
X.
TikTok and all this.
TikTok. Yeah.
Uh, Tell me, Eric, what is the value of Facebook?
Well, here's what I'll tell you, that right now the average buyer going in the house is 40 years old.
Yep.
Okay. So guys or girls that are 40 years old and above know Facebook, and they understand it, they use it. So we do a lot of work on Facebook, and it brings in a lot of leads.
Yep.
So there's people out there that are responding to, you know, well thought out, you know, content pushed on Facebook. So it's not the end all to end all, but it's just another tool in our kit bag. But the younger generation, you know, tends to spend more time on X, TikTok, you know, Instagram, all that kind of stuff. But unfortunately, a lot of our younger generation can't buy a house right now for a whole bunch of reasons, which would be a whole nother podcast.
Right, right.
So
Next one,
Stay
I love it.
tuned.
stay tuned for the next one. You know, but a lot of them can't buy a house.
Right.
So fortunately or unfortunately, I'm not targeting them because I'm not worried about what they're going to do in 10 years. I'm worried about people buying a house in 3 to 6 months.
Right.
You know, so, and that's a demographic 40 and above, and they live on Facebook. Now, some of them do others, but most of them live on Facebook. So
They do.
That's
Yes,
true.
they do. And you know, it's interesting. Those that use social media effectively and they use it to cast a wide net out to the
right,
community, or you know, thousands and thousands of people with a message. Uh,
right,
those that do that successfully, but then the follow-up, right?
Yeah.
The
exactly,
follow-up to those people and to those groups, reaching out to them. Nothing's going to replace face-to-face, belly-to-belly
yep,
interactions, right? People
yeah,
want to do business with people they know, like, and trust.
right, right.
Social
The
media.
AI is great. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The AI is great, but we all know when we're talking to an AI person or
Oh
an
yeah.
AI entity on the phone, it's like it's not the same thing,
Not the same.
you
No,
know.
no.
So we all know it. So it's not like I got AI following up on the Facebook leads. So, but it really is all about the follow up. You know, the conversions and the follow up. You know, Facebook will put that lead in your inbox, but if you don't do anything with it, it will die in your inbox. You know, and our life expectancy is about 48 hours. So if you're
Right.
not in that golden hour, they've moved on to somebody else who has follow up.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
Love it.
Absolutely.
so
Well, thank you so much, Eric. We really appreciate your words of wisdom. You know, Christopher and I are in the business of helping families every day, just as you are, and we are very grateful to be partners with VREB, yourself, and we cannot you know, emphasize enough how grateful we are for your not only for your service, but how you have transitioned your life to really, really dive into the weeds to help families
Yeah.
and
yeah,
provide solutions. You know,
right,
not just oh yeah, we got an issue, we got a problem, but that's
right.
what we're in the same business. We're solution.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
no, we appreciate
Problem
that very
solvers.
much.
Yep.
Thank you very much, Eric. And really, I appreciate the notes that I got in. I appreciate no defeat. And I think that's something that not only do we have our clients that gain value from that, but really we gain value because we become stronger at the end of it.
Yeah.
Each decision we make is like a colonel taking care of a platoon. Making wise decisions with
Yeah.
wise counselors really helps us to get to the end result. So I really appreciate those points from what you've expressed. Thank you very much for all your hard work and all that you really do for our dear veterans.
Okay, guys. Well, I appreciate it, and I look forward to doing more work with iFinance. You guys do a great job, and we'll do more and more as the rates continue to drop a little bit more. We'll do more and more work together. I mean, they're getting a little bit better, but they need to get a little bit better. And I think this market's going to go on fire. So we're
The
excited.
8th rate is the best rate.
Yeah,
That's right. That's right.
Absolutely. Well, thank you
Okay.
so much, Eric, and we will wish you the very best too, and for your family as people will enjoy some holiday time off, and we hope that you enjoy that as well.
All right. Thanks, guys.